Cars. I wasn't into bikes yet. I was only into cars.
But you were into crashing them.
Uh-huh. I was pretty good at it.
Welcome to 10 Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Phil Freeman.
And with me, as always, is Shane Patrick. And today we're going to talk to Nancy Broen, not only a traveler, but also a two-wheeled traveler.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
I was talking to Shane earlier, Nancy, and last time we were sharing the road, which wasn't too long ago in Baja.
Yeah.
We got a conversation going about what I find interesting about you is that you somehow went from a bartender to putting your fingerprint on a woman-specific Harley Davidson model. So you went from serving drinks and helping people get from one cocktail to another and helping them with their lives. Then you decided to go back to school and get your engineer degree, then muscle it out in a man's world and eventually work at Harley Davidson. How did you manage to, how did that all come about? How did you see that happening? And tell us about that motorcycle at the end, please.
I didn't see that happening. First of all, I'm a pretty lucky person. Just generally, I have good luck. Bartending, my dad went bonkers when I started bartending with a 4-year degree. But I was bartending in Dearborn, Michigan, the home of Ford Motor Company and the home of everything Ford. And I worked in a bar where people came in at lunchtime, and a lot of Ford people were in there at lunchtime. This was in the 70s, so lunchtime meant beer, maybe something to eat, but not necessarily. It was a little past the martini lunchtime, but we're well into beer lunchtime. And the guys came from Safety Lab, and one of the guys said that they were looking for a guy to be an engineering technologist in crash test, which incidentally I'd already had a lot of experience at.
You mean crashing?
And crashing, yes.
Like
crashing
how? Like
cars.
putting bikes on their side or?
Cars. I wasn't into bikes yet. I was only into cars.
But you were into crashing them.
Uh-huh. I was pretty good at it.
Let's don't gloss over that. Let's talk about some of those car crashes.
Well,
I mean, was this recreational, like dirt track stuff, or
no, this
just
was
driving
just
fast on the highway?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
And so he was looking at the guy that was like our barback guy, because he was in school and they wanted somebody he was almost through some kind of degree. And they said they wanted somebody that wasn't an engineer, but had a degree to come in and be an engineering technologist at Safety Lab, which is where they crash cars. And I said, well, how about a woman? I have a degree. I can do that work. Whatever it is, I can do it. And so he said, okay. He got me in for an interview, and apparently I did that interview okay. And they hired me, and I was an engineering technologist in crash safety for 7 years with a liberal arts degree in theater.
How many car crashes did you witness?
At work?
Yeah.
Or in personal?
No, let's go work.
Oh, gosh, probably, 7 years of them, doing maybe one a month into barriers. And it was the most exciting one was when we do a cargo van and you'd put 10,000 pounds of weights in the rear axle, over the rear axle, and run it into a barrier at 35 miles an hour. And when it stopped, the whole rear end would go wham, bam, and it would break the glass that was over the cameras that are underneath. And it was loud and it was exciting, and It was bright because the lights go off when it's crashing. It was just, actually, it was a pretty cool job as jobs go. And I was probably there 2 or 3 months before I realized I could be there for 30 years and retire from there, and that would be that. So I decided to go back and take a calculus class and see how I did. And it had been many years since I'd taken calculus 1, but I wasn't about to take it again. So I took the second one and passed it. And then I did another one. And then, so I just kept going to these classes. I got finally applied and I got back into Michigan and Dearborn campus. And 6 years later, I got my engineering degree and mechanical. And you had asked earlier about working in a men's world. Well, I was going to school in a men's world. I was working in a men's world. I get along with men pretty well. Bartending was a good practice for that. When I first took that job, some of the guys in the shop that were mechanics and techs, they were pretty pissed off that they brought in this girl to a level above them to do crash testing when they had to stand under the car and tell me what parts were what parts. And they thought that was bullshit, but I finally won them over. And we all worked pretty well together in the end. And then as soon as I got my degree, I moved to California. It's a place you want to be. And I took this job at Dynamic Research, a very small firm, 13 people. And we did a lot of work for American Honda. And I learned a whole lot from that company and those people that ran it and the people I worked with about engineering and about practical work that we were doing. And they were all going back to school. And they were getting their master's in systems engineering. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That would suck. I would hate that. So my boss was a big human factors guy, which is, most people call it ergonomics. So I decided to go do that. And I went to USC, another 7 years, got my degree.
Before you go on, I'm really curious, Nancy, when you did your first engineering school, like, were there 3% women? Were you the only one? And then my follow-up to that is, did you notice a change, good, better, the same, when you went for your next degree at USC?
I only remember one other woman in engineering.
Okay.
For starters, I was 27 when I went back to engineering school, and they were all young. And then I was 38 when I went to USC to go get my master's. So I was always the oldest, which was more than being, there were a lot of women in human factors.
Okay.
At USC. I concentrated in safety. And incidentally, Harry Hurt was one of my professors, which was very cool.
Who is he?
The Hurt Report.
Mm.
He did the whole, in the 70s, he and Dave Tom did the whole research on motorcycle crashing.
David Tom.
And did the Hurt Report, out of which the MSF program evolved. And also, and Dave Tom, who is a helmet, he runs the helmet lab, or he did before he retired, at USC. And he's kind of renowned in the industry of safety. And he's the guy that introduced me to Rocco. So it's all connected, and it's all been lucky. being in the right place, knowing the right people, just lucky, and a little bit of hard work.
That was Nancy Broen, two-wheeled enthusiast, bartender, engineer, all-around interesting lady. If you want to learn more about her or anything else we do at 10 Minute Travels, please check out 10minutretravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure.
And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.